To order, clerk call the roll.
Representative Collins.
Here.
Representative Shipley. Here. Representative Wilburn.
Here.
Representative Holt. Here. Representative Hora.
She's still arriving.
Representative Jacoby.
Here.
Representative Kaufman.
Here.
Representative Converse. Representative Kurth.
Here.
Representative Wheeler.
Here.
Representative Wills.
All right, thank you. The minutes should have been distributed electronically after the last meeting. I apologize for my tardiness. We just got out of the State Government Committee. One bill was assigned previously electronically. That's House Study Bill 152. That's Hora Chair, Shipley, and Jacoby. Today we have Dr. DeCastro joining us here. He's going to present on some research he's done about the level of intellectual diversity on college campuses. Dr. DeCastro is a Henry B. Tippie Research Fellow and a professor at the University of Iowa. And once Dr. DeCastro wraps up his presentation, we will open it up for questions from the committee. And once we have finished with that, we'll hopefully caucus on the bills we're considering and get out of here on time. Dr. DeCastro, the floor is yours, and thank you once again for coming. Hopefully the roads from here to Iowa City weren't too bad.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm sorry. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much for the invitation, President Collins. This is what I want to cover today. It's a long list, but I hope that it'll be quick. Just to begin, something about myself. You're going to notice I'm not born here in America, but I became a proud American citizen. There are some information about myself here. I just want to say that I express here my opinion, and I do not speak for the University of Iowa. Just to introduce what I want to say here, and I think that this last phrase here summarizes everything. We should be grateful to Representative Collins to propose this bill, and definitely we should go forward with it. So let me just, as he said about intellectual diversity, let me just put some facts here. And there are many studies about this, but this is one of very interesting one. It was published in 2020 by Langbert and Stevens. They made a study of 12,000 faculty across the US. Here you have Iowa State University and University of Iowa. But let's just see overall. They looked at the number of registered faculty for the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And here you can see the proportion from one to the other in terms of registered faculty, and the number of donors among those faculties. And then you can see that when you look at the donors, the proportion is even stronger. So in general, 8-1. Here in Iowa, we have a proportion that's even larger than the national one. So the national one is in registered members of the faculty, 8-1. In Iowa State University and University of Iowa, 11-1. If you look at the donors, this goes to 95-1 national level, 12-1 in Iowa State, and 31-1 in University of Iowa. If you look at the donation levels, these levels can be even stronger, so like 42-1. If you look at by disciplines, the same numbers, and look now, I'm just presenting the ratio for donations. The discipline that has the lowest one is mine, so economics, 17-1. Even in economics, it's 17-1. If you look at all the disciplines in the liberal arts, for instance, English, 244-1. So there's and balance is very, very strong. So this is a fact that we cannot dispute. Most, but not all, professors are left-leaning. And this has implications, so you can think, okay, so this is one fact about the faculty, but this has implications. So one implication is that the education level has become the best predictor of how someone will vote. And how is if you are more educated, then you are much more likely to vote Democrat. This is something that came out also last year, and that says exactly this. Another fact that's kind of interesting, if you look at the education levels across states, the most educated states are exactly all blue, and the least educated states are all red. So you may think, well, this is all facts, but it's better to look inside and see why this happens. So what's behind these facts? One thing that we observe in the university system is that, of course, every year we have new students coming into the university, and after a few years, they graduate, and they go through a process here. And of course, you observe this from outside, but as overseers, right, you are legislators, you are part here of the overseers of the university. You have some control on the university, as some donors and taxpayers also have. The taxpayers, of course, through you, right? But you don't see what's behind the hood, let's say. Let's just talk a little bit about that. We all established the fact that most of faculty is left-leaning. What does it happen in the university? Well, one thing is that faculty hire like-minded colleagues who are competent in two things. One is producing interesting, and by interesting you can understand persuasive ideas, and this is called research, and convert believers teaching, all aligned with the cause they cherish. Of course, I'm exaggerating a little bit, and I do not pretend that there is no honest and truthful research and teaching in the university there is, and I'm just trying to explain a little bit of how it goes, that a process that should be unbiased gets new students every year and converts them in much more left-wing. This is something that actually just happens. Well, if you look at this, we should have something that's more balanced, and we should change this. How are we going to change this? Well, one thing is that from inside, as a faculty, it's very hard to do it because you have all incentives against any change. So, for instance, this goes back in the process of publishing articles. It's if you don't go with the usual way of thinking, it's very hard to publish, and therefore you don't recognize it as a productive scholars. And then you can also have difficulty even in hiring because left-leaning faculty is not like outspoken conservative professors. And I have some stories to tell if you want. I can tell you. I want actually to add something about myself. It is an experience that I went through. Not that I didn't hear about that. It was myself that proposed a new course in the University of Iowa. The course was titled Political Economy and Capitalism, and the description was that the course would adopt a market-friendly perspective of current political issues. Students will learn how to have an informed and well-reasoned response to criticism of capitalism and assess benefits and shortcomings of some governmental policies. This is not an offering of a course. This is just a description that was going to be in a survey asking students if they were interested or not in this course. And even to be included in the survey was not allowed. So the staff in the university just cut out the proposal of the students just to gauge the interest. And they say, of course, this is much harder to ask if such a course is taught in the University of Iowa. It's not. If it were, it should be by my department, the Department of Economics, and I know that it's not offered. And if people go through the University of Iowa, do not learning why capitalism works and why it's a good system. And I understand that, and you have to understand that it's also difficult to change from outside because professors complain about interference in academic freedom. The university administrators say that you cannot meddle in the internal affairs of the university. So it's very hard to overcome all this resistance. So is it possible to do something? Yes. And the answer is exactly what you have in front of you. You have this proposal to create this school. And I see that's exactly the answer to this. And if you allow me, I can just try to summarize the path to try to start changing this. You have to understand that as legislators, you have the power and the responsibility to try to make something different and be courageous to go ahead and fight the resistance that, of course, you are going to encounter. And follow Jim Collins' advice: get the right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus, and the right people in the right seats. And then you go. I think that doing this, we can support research and in teaching in this new school that will be intellectually diverse and offer things that are not currently done by the University of Iowa. And just to, if you allow me, I want to just highlight some of the aspects that should be covered and could be covered by this new school, and it's not covered yet by the University of Iowa. Michael Novak has a very interesting, a short book, but he discusses the importance of defending, studying, and explaining to the society the three fundamental systems that sustain our civilization. That is the economic system, the political system, and the cultural system. And on each of these frontiers, we need to do research and teaching to explain to Americans why these systems work the way that they work. So in the economic frontier, for instance, what we see is that a lot of professors write many, many books criticizing capitalism and say the capitalism is unjust, the capitalism do not work, and it's bad. And I mean, I put some books there, but the number of books on this topic is just immense. It's huge. We need to show why and how these books are wrong, and we need to explain what's wrong in the arguments and why actually capitalism works. But this is a war of ideas, and the people that have to fight these ideas are just intellectual faculty, scholars, to go ahead and then say, look, what you are hearing from these all these materials is not the right thing. On the political frontier, this is one aspect that has not been very emphasized, but I would say that the main scholar on this area is Hayek, that was able to combine, he's a true scholar, and I really admire his intellect. He was able to have a domain on economics, but also law and philosophy. And he saw the need to put all these things together to think about how our political institutions have to be maintained and organized in such a way that preserve our freedoms. Because this guy and many others were able to see the dangers that we face if you do not protect the understanding of these institutions that were created for us and given for us by the founding fathers. It's not something that is just in the past. We have to keep working on these fundamental ideas. And just to conclude in the cultural frontier, we also go back to all the values that are fundamental in the American culture and need to be not only discussed, researched, but taught also to our students and say why these values are so great, because they are. And I want to say this is not about the ideology at all. You may think it's not. It's about truth. It's about truth. And the whole thing is to try to pursue research and teaching that goes in the direction of providing this needed and not covered research and teaching. I have some of comments about the organization of the school. One of the aspects here is that it cannot be organized as a standard college. The only thing that is important is contained already in the proposal is that the fact that you need to have some protection from the university administration, from the fact that otherwise they will meddle with this organization of the school and impede the school or hinder the efforts of the school to advance in these three frontiers that I described. So is there a solution for that? And I think that there is, and a very good one that was exactly in the bill already, which is the academic council. So in summary, the proposal is great. And I heard that it's already facing resistance. Just last week, we had a meeting here. I was not present, but I read about it. And during this meeting, I believe it was in this committee, we had these adjectives like laughable, ridiculous, and pointless. when you look at this, it's a very strong and very heated reaction, right, to the bill. There are at least two ways of understanding this, right? One of them is that the left understands why it's so important to keep controlling the universities and preventing them from changing this mechanism. This is one way, and I think that's the most natural way to think about this, but there is a more generous interpretation. And the more generous interpretation is the fact that they are simply not able to understand the importance of this initiative. Being generous is a good thing, and I will be generous. So the problem, I will not take as the first one, but actually for the second one, that is, they simply do not understand the importance of this initiative. And I mean, no disrespect when I say that left-leaning individuals might struggle to understand this initiative, because it's actually a finding by Professor Jonathan Haidt in his bestseller book, The Righteous Mind, where he found out that left-leaning individuals have difficulty understanding the motives of conservatives. So often they think that conservatives are motivated by hate, they primarily seek political gains, and generally ignorant and dismissive of intellectual developments, but that's not true. Now I even talk more to the Democratic representatives or members of this committee. Please understand that this initiative is not motivated by hate, it's motivated by love of this country. As I said, I was not born here, but I learned to love this country because of the values that it was created. It's a just great country. It's the greatest country on earth. And we have to love it and to love this civilization. Or other thing, we are not, the primary motivation is not political. It's seeking the pursuit of truth. And when you pursue truth, you are able to benefit your children, the children of Iowa. And we do recognize the value of good ideas regardless of the origin. I have something to say about that. So we have opportunity here to create a leading school, a truly remarkable opportunity that we have in front of us. It can have, it will be good for Iowa, but it can have impact even beyond the borders of our state. We can pioneer a new educational model rooted in American values, and this can be actually be opportunity to even innovate in higher education. We can attract students from all these states, nearby states, and if you allow me, I want to go into art just to connect with Kansas is right here, right? And then when I was thinking about this, I remember the quote from a movie you all have seen, right? There is in Man of Steel, Superman says, General, I grew up in Kansas. I'm as about as American as it gets, right? And I have a dream, actually. My dream is that someday the super boys and super girls will say, perhaps not in movies, but in their memoirs, I was raised in Kansas with American values, but it was only when I attended the University of Iowa that I truly understood their critical importance. Perhaps we can see this in memoirs in the years to come. And since I talk about a dream, look, this is again to show how I value people from the left. He is a great man, right? And he said, you may say I'm a dreamer. You may say that I'm an academic dreamer, but I'm not the only one. And this is the message that I want to convey to you. There are other conservative professors out there that want the opportunity to do research and teaching that will be valuable for society. We have just to go and find them. And just to conclude, and I would say that you don't need to do this for the faculty, but you have to do for the people of Iowa, and perhaps initiate a movement that will make universities great again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We've just maybe 6 minutes here. We'll try to get out of here by 11 for caucus. Questions from members of the committee. Representative Conference.
Thank you very much. I can talk quickly, Mr. Chair, so I will go quickly. First of all, I see that you're a full professor at the University of Iowa, so you've achieved tenure and the highest rank of professor at the University of Iowa. So you've been able to overcome the barriers that you've identified, and you've been able to publish research. Thank you. That's good to know. When you are you saying that there is not a single course at the University of Iowa that teaches about capitalism?
Well, I didn't look at all courses in the University of Iowa.
Okay.
I know well what's taught in the Department of Economics,
Right.
which is my department, and there is not a single course that is connected to this. I try to do in my course, when I teach managerial economics, I have one or other class where I discuss and I try to explain to students why capitalism works. I try to do it myself in my courses, but I'm not sure what happens in the other courses.
Okay, when you say that there are no courses taught at the University of Iowa in your presentation that address capitalism, I just think it's important that we clarify that it's actually probably not possible to teach an economics course that never mentions capitalism. So I'm a little concerned with your statement versus what is actually happening. The only other question I have for you is, you indicated that you have some research available to us that we could share regarding the fact that you state that like-minded colleagues don't like to hire other like-minded colleagues, and that all people argue these things. I'd like to see the data that shows that like-minded colleagues empirically do not hire other like-minded colleagues. So if you could share that with me, I'd appreciate it.
Great, very nice. So let me just two questions. So about the first question, of course, there are a lot of course that talk about capitalism. And
Right.
actually, if you look at one of the things that I sent before, a lot of things are written about capitalism, but in general, what they are saying is that capitalism does not work.
Okay, that's
It-
different than what you said, though, sir.
Well,
There's a slide that says that there are no courses at the University of Iowa taught about capitalism.
there is no course in the University of Iowa that do what I propose to do.
There's no course that is taught about how capitalism works. It was that slide just there. I just think it's important that if we're going to be basing this on something, I want to make sure that the research we're doing is based in data, not anecdote.
Representative, I'm a professor and I love data. And actually, going back to your first question, you asked, I got tenure. I got tenure publishing papers that are very technical.
Great.
If you look at my papers, my last one, there are 30 pages of just mathematical demonstrations, and there is nothing there that discusses this aspect.
Okay, great.
So yes, you are able, and a lot of other faculties are able to get tenure, publish technical things. And actually, I like what I do, and I can't keep doing it. However, I have maybe 2-3 readers that are able to read my technical stuff. I would rather say why these books that say that capitalism does not work. I want to say why they are wrong. And of course, a lot of people talk about capitalism, but the capitalism is, they talk in a critical way. And this is what I meant.
Thank you.
About the thing about, I didn't say that I have a research, I said I know stories. So
Okay.
I can tell stellar professor, I would say that's the most brilliant, active economist right now. He was in a top school in the country. And I know people in one of the departments that maybe top 30 in the country and said, no, we cannot hire this guy because he is too conservative. So I don't have data on that. I know facts, and I can point to you the individuals that are involved in this. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, we'll keep moving through the list. Your Representative Wheeler.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Very brave, very bold. If you get any pushback, please let us know. My Republican colleagues and I completely understood what you were talking about when you were talking about capitalism and it not being able to be painted in really its correct form or in a bright light. I don't know what my colleague over here is saying, but we understood what you were saying when it comes to that. I basically just wanted to get an idea from you.
What's your point?
Representative Wheeler is assuming that all the Democrats at the table do not understand the presentation. I wish he would say in his opinion. He can say that, but he's making a statement not knowing what any of us other are thinking.
Respectfully, I was talking about her. I said my colleague over here.
You said Democrats,
Anyways,
Mr.
No,
Chair,
I
you
talked
said
about Republicans.
Democrats.
I was talking about her. If I can go back to that, these stories, I would love to hear from them at some point what you have experienced. You're the second foreign-born professor in economics that I've met who is also extremely conservative who has brought these up to me. One of the gentlemen that I know, he's at a different university, has also talked to me about this on the side. But tell me, as you talk about how they won't publish conservative professors, give me a little more insight on that. So you guys want to bring something forward, whether it's data, whether it's research, whatever it is, and they'll just straight up deny it or say, no, we're not going to go that direction. Are they creating narratives on certain issues and they just refuse to publish anything that pushes back against those narratives?
Thank you for your question, Representative. It's a very interesting thing. Of course, you cannot just say, look, this happens, and what happens is much more murkier and not very clear. So, but I can give you some indication. What's happened, for instance, there's actually a blog by Cochrane, a very famous economist. It's a conservative one. And a few 2 years ago, he analyzed the posts or the how do you say the sessions, the academic sessions on issues on economics, and he said there was one session about inflation and interest rates, and there were 5, 10 on human issues, gender issues, inequality, diversity, all this. And I think, well, economists should be caring about economic issues, not all the others. And because you see this in the sessions, and then you see this in the articles that are published in the top journals, and it's just something that you can dig and then find evidence of they have a strong preference of these kind of issues. And since the number of articles that are published are limited, the fact that you choose these articles means that you are leaving out other articles. And it becomes much harder to publish something that is, it goes in the other direction. I will not go as to say like it's impossible, because then you can find something, well, this is published. Well, it's not impossible, but it's extremely hard. And I can add some other things. I have things written that's more oriented to conservative thinking, and they count in my evaluations as a professor at 0. Why? Because they're not published in top journals, in well-regarded journals. I try to write those, but they count as 0 in my evaluations, and I think that maybe you can publish maybe much less regarded journals, and top journals is extremely difficult, and it just becomes almost there's no point in trying to do this. So we have this is what I said. A new school can put a different set of values on this, and then allow us to have a contrarian view that goes directly in the direction of promoting intellectual diversity.
Representative Jacoby, we'll keep moving here.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for the presentation today. It is somewhat refreshing that we finally had a presenter from the state of Iowa, because the previous ones were on these national issues coming up. But let me ask you a couple questions about truth and facts. And in fact, in one of your slides, you even self-printed there, I'm exaggerating a bit. So please let me get to that. First of all, as far as truth, and you had that graphic showing the number of university employees that contribute to a party or to a candidate. So at home, I have many neighbors that contribute $50 to me, and they're registered Republicans. So that's going to count against them by your metric, because they gave to a Democrat. And second, how do you quantify? How do you go with that? How do you go with truth when 50 faculty or 50 University of Iowa employees may donate $50 apiece, and then one region donates almost $1 million to people in this room, to the party? So how do you quantify one person donating $1 million while 12 people donate $600 total to a number of their interests. So I didn't see that quantified up there. All I saw was your numbers pointing toward the leaning. And in closing, I'll let you have some time to answer that. You posted something up there that says 3 perceptions of the left toward the right. I noticed you totally avoided 3 perceptions of the right toward the left. And that's not an absence. Anyone that does good stats for social research will tell you you have to have both. And in closing, I'll say this. You said 3 things that how left-leaning perceive the right. You're wrong on 2, but you're spot on in 1.
You can tell me what it is,
Oh, no, that's for you to figure out. You're the researcher.
Okay, so just to answer to your first question, all all numbers, stats that you find out, you can criticize from one side or the other. I didn't make this research, and this I am reporting what Langbert and Stevens have found out. And these are the numbers that I found, and they present 3 different metrics, and this is the metrics of number of registered for each party, the number of donors, and the value of donation. You criticize the value of donation. You can just ignore the last column and look at the other ones, because the donors is not related to.
I don't want to belabor this because we do need to move on, but I also know that for a fact our college communities where many Democrat representatives come from, they're friends and neighbors. So you're pigeonholing people by party. That doesn't mean that Republicans don't cross over and donate to Democrats, or Democrats don't cross over and donate to Republicans. But I hope that you, in search of the true capitalist, by the way, my daughter took a class in capitalism at the University of Iowa and still references it and uses it in her job in social media for growing businesses in the blue state of Colorado. But my point is, I'd like to see a presentation where you have more balance to it. It's hard to cross over saying this is something that I should consider when you left out totally. So, but I do appreciate you being here, and if you're driving back today, will you text me and let me know how the roads are so I can go home today?
Yeah, the roads were kind of bad, but so the other point that you made about I'm conservative. I'm trying to bring one point that actually was researched by Professor Jonathan Haidt about the perceptions, and this is not what I'm saying. He's saying this in this bestseller book, and he's actually he tells this in the book. He's initially a Democrat, and he found out he was actually started this research because he found, well, why the conservatives think this way, and then he went about writing, finding out, and he found that the liberals cannot understand conservatives. It's just facts that they describe, but the other way around it's different. So the conservatives can understand, and this is what I'm trying to.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.